This video is all about strengthening and stretching your low back and your hip muscles. So let's get to it. So start by lying on your back with your knees bent, your feet just about hips width apart, and a good comfortable distance from your hips. And you can rock back and forth on your pelvis to find just a good comfortable position, with a little bit of a low back arch away from the floor, but not feeling like you're bridged. And with your arms comfortably out to the side, I'm going to start by just taking our knees from one side to the other. And let them go as far as comfortable for you. Back up nice and slow to the other side. So for all of today's movements, we're going to do just nice, controlled movements. And it's even better if you can match those movements up with your breath. So ideally, on your exhale, your knees would drop to one side or the other, and then come back up on your inhale. And then repeat to the other side. Exhale, let your knees fall to the floor. Inhale, back to center. Just find a nice, comfortable pace for yourself. This helps to loosen up the hips as well as the low back. And let your feet bend and move as they need to. And then where some of your props can come in, I'm going to use my foam roll. So as I drop my knees out to the left this time, they have somewhere to rest. And that keeps me from having to go all the way to the floor and opening up too much before we're nice and warmed up today. And if that's comfortable, you can also stretch your arms out to the side and turn your head in the opposite direction from your knees. So I'm going to look over my right shoulder with my knees falling out to the left. Nice deep breaths and breathe into that twist. On your inhale, bring your knees back up to center. Move your prop to the other side. And similarly, exhale, lower your knees to the right. And looking over your left shoulder. So right now my right knee is resting on the foam roll. My left knee is resting on my right shin. It's just a gentle twist, keeping your opposite shoulder down as well. If your shoulder starts coming up off the floor, you're twisting too far. Should be able to just relax into this pose. And inhale, bring your knees back up to center. Kind of rock back and forth until you find your center again. So next we're going to do a couple of resisted movements from here. So I'm going to take my yoga block. I'm going to place it between my knees so that it's about that. So for this one, I'll take my yoga block and place it between my knees in a comfortable way. And from here, we're just going to do some short pulses of squeezing that block with our knees. So once you're ready, go ahead and squeeze that block for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. And as you relax, if you're comfortable, you can bring your knees back down to the floor. But if you bring them down, they've got to come back up again. So bringing that block up, and try and keep it square between your knees, feet pointing forward. One more time. Squeeze for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax. We're going to do this one more time. So holding that position, squeeze. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As you can see, even I'm getting a little shaky after holding that. But do as much as you can, do as much as comfortable for you, because again, we're also trying to build some muscle and tone here. So next, we're going to move our knees in the opposite directions, using your hands to resist that movement. So go ahead and lift your legs so they're about 90 degrees. I find it helps to flex my feet, and then bringing your hands gently to the outside of your knees. And press your knees out into your hands for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax. And sometimes you can even just bend your knees, bring your knees in towards your chest. Give your back and hips a little break. And coming back up to our roughly 90 degrees. Hands to the outside of the knees and gently pressing out for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and relax for just a moment. Bending your knees, moving your ankles. You might even feel some pops in your knees and your ankles as you go through these exercises, and that's okay. You should be loosening up those chains of soft tissue. So one more time. Knees at 90 degrees, hips roughly at 90 degrees, hands to the outside of your knees. And press out for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And relax. All right. Our last one while lying on our back is going to be a supine tree pose. So stretch out your right leg, fully extended, trying to maintain that neutral position to your hips and low back. And then I'm going to grab my foam roll one more time and bring it to the outside of my mat. Bend your knee to whatever's comfortable for you and place your left foot just alongside the inside of your right leg. And when you're ready, slowly go ahead and lower your left knee towards the floor and open up your hip. And you might find that you can bend your knee a little further, or you need to let it out a little more. Just find a comfortable position for your left leg. Personally, my hips are not very open. It's something I've been working on for a long time. A lot of people think that just letting gravity take the leg here is helping to stretch it, but it's actually the opposite. Your body senses that tension, and instead of letting it continue to pull, it tightens up on itself. And that's what keeps a lot of people stagnant and opening their hips. So just let it rest on something. Find a good stretched position and let your leg rest so it's not fighting with itself. We're going to lay here for just a moment, so take a few breaths, relax. So when you're ready, use your left hand to bring your left knee up. And again, that way you're not putting too much tension on your adductors. Kind of wriggle that leg out a little. Bend your right knee, feet back together. Again, find your neutral pelvis. And second side, so we'll stretch out the left leg all the way. Right knee bends as far as comfortable for you. Right foot to the inside of the left thigh. And slowly just let your right knee fall towards the floor, landing comfortably on your prop. Now, if you need a little more height under your leg, you can always bring that prop in just a little bit and prop that leg higher on your thigh. And conversely, if you need it to be a little lower, roll it out towards the knee, and that'll allow your leg to fall just slightly further than before. Make sure that you're keeping your opposite hip down. Nice neutral pelvis. Relaxed inner thigh. Relaxed inner thigh. Deep breaths. Again, when you're ready, take your right hand, use your hand to lift your leg up. Bending both knees, bringing your feet back together. And we're actually going to bring our feet out just a little, just about hips width apart again. Bent comfortably, comfortable distance from your hips. And let your knees fall in towards each other for just a moment. We'll take a couple of deep breaths here. And this pose is called constructive rest pose. Obviously we're not doing this today, but doing this pose for about 15 minutes really helps to realign your lower body. So the next one is an internal rotation for the thigh. So with your legs stretched out behind you, go ahead and bend your right knee. And I'm going to use my strap to kind of hook my foot here. Because you want to make sure that your knee stays bent, and that your knees stay, and that your legs stay in line with your hips. So from here, I've got the leg bent. The strap is mostly to keep the bend in the leg. You're not looking for a stretch in the thigh here. Just to keep the leg bent as comfortable. And like when we were laying on our backs, we let our knee fall out to the side. This time you're going to let your foot fall out to the side. Just a little rotation in that hip. And just let your leg fall out to the side. And breathe into that hip. Now you're going to notice you're probably more flexible in one direction here than the other, and that is absolutely okay. We all are. And now, especially that you already have it hooked, this gets easier. So you can use your arm to help pull that back up. And then we're going to switch the strap to the other foot, and we're going to go again. So left knee is bent, and we're just going to let that foot fall out to the side as far as comfortable for you. And again, you want to keep your legs in line with your hips. So pointing straight back on the mat. Letting that left hip stretch. Alright. And bringing that leg back up. And that is the end of being on our stomachs. So for the stability ball exercises, we're going to start way back on our mats at one edge. And from standing on your knees, bring that ball right up against your thighs. You can lean forward, bringing your hands to the ground. I'm just slowly going to walk forward until I feel like it is just under my hips. And then coming down to my elbows. So even for as tall as I am, this is a rather small stability ball. But it still serves the purpose. It's actually right about where I need it to be. So, coming forward onto your elbows, butt in the air, we're just going to do some leg extensions. So very gently bringing your legs up off the floor and lowering back down. And really, this is about the balance as much as it is the extension. So if you can do it with your legs together, great. If you're more comfortable with a little distance between them, awesome. Whatever works for you, just to be able to bring your legs up. Now, another thing I'm going to point out is I am not arching my low back. So it's not about arching the low back. It's just bringing the legs off the ground. And back down to the floor. You can also do this, if you need a little more stability, one leg at a time. Just alternating here. All right. Then from there, go ahead and roll back on your ball. Let's go ahead and get the ball out of the way. We're going to come into a table pose. So from here, hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips, about hips width apart. So we're going to do what's called a bird dog. So from here, slowly go ahead and extend that right leg out behind you. Now you want to keep your hips relatively level. You don't want to open up that hip and reach too high. You want your leg as level as you can with your back. So not overextending, not letting it droop. Just as straight back as you can. And if you're comfortable, you can also extend your opposite arm out in front of you. So now you've got 2 points to balance, but again, the goal is straight line all the way from the fingertips through the back heel. And don't let your back sag. You want to keep your back as straight as you can too. There's a lot going on in this pose, but it helps to build a lot of strength in your back. When you're ready, go ahead and bring your knee down and bring your hand down. I always take a second to kind of re-ground through my hands and through my legs. And when you're ready, second side. So extending that left leg back behind you. Make sure that your hips are level, leg is straight. And if you're ready, extending that opposite arm out in front. Hopefully nice straight line, fingertips through the heel. And breathe. Don't forget to breathe, because this is a tough one. The goal is to hold it about 15, 30 seconds aside, but whatever's comfortable for you starting out. You got to start somewhere. way, bring it down. Kind of shake side to side here, a little wag the dog. Last but not least, one of my favorite yoga moves, which is a Chakravikasana. So inhale, lift your collarbones, lift your sit bones. Exhale, elbows to the floor, chest to thighs, hips to heels. Inhale, lift your hips, lift your chest, lift your elbows. Moving with your breath. Exhale, lower back towards child's pose. Inhale, coming all the way up. And as I move through this, I'm trying to get as much shoulder as well as hip and sacral activity as I can. Feeling that movement through every vertebrae. And wiggle it out. All right. And that is the end of hips and low back today. Do these exercises daily if you can, or even if you just pick a few to do each day. Start slow, build up to it, and carry on.